I can see the recording. The recording thing is going now. This is weird.
Well, you may or may not be able to see me at home, but I can see you. We're coming to you live from some new dibs here. We're in our offices, waiting for some basketball to begin.
Yeah. This is a change of venue. Hopefully, the quality doesn't go down because we're at a high level.
No, the quality is as good as it's ever going to get.
Good.
And it was a pretty good episode this week. Some real strong talking points coming our way, I think.
Absolutely. I think that we had some concerns over this was number 4. This is 4 in a row, right? We had 4 in a row, and some concerns about that. And this was really an intriguing episode from a lot of angles, but perhaps the least of which was we had a double duty this week with Nick Jonas of Jonas Brothers fame, pulling a double duty this week, hosting and musical guest.
It was Nick, Kevin, and Luis were the Jonas Brothers.
Was it Sam?
All right.
I don't know. I really don't know. I know Nick. We'll leave it at that.
And to be honest with you, I know Nick because he hosted this week.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. His brother was there, but I don't know which one.
Kevin.
Okay, Kevin.
Luis is nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found. All right, so I guess we'll just lead things off here with our cold open, and this was kind of I'd say a mildly unconventional we're used to experiencing. This to me felt like just an ordinary sketch, and I told you it felt to me like this is like when you go see a sketch comedy show live, this felt like that to me. They kept bringing people in, they kept like just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, seeing what stuck. The premise was Dr. Anthony Fauci, played by Kate McKinnon, was hosting a game show for who should be able to get the vaccine, with a panel of governors, California, New York, and Michigan, as the judges.
I really enjoyed it, and it hit on something that I had brought up several times to several people just in conversation, as far as how ridiculous I think it is that the appointments have to be signed up for online for people who deserve and qualify for the vaccine. A good amount of those folks don't really know how to utilize that online system, and it just does. It's nonsensical. I think of my parents, God bless them, have a neighbor that lives across the street. She's 95 years old, and she has qualified for the vaccine for a while now, and there's just no. She doesn't even own a computer. She doesn't even have a computer. So I liked the sketch.
Yeah, to me it was a clever idea. In the way had it been more simplistic, it wouldn't have worked. But because it had so many different bits going left and right, if some joke didn't land or some idea didn't land, it quickly just moved on to the next thing. And for me, that was a nice piece of it. I thought the contestants weren't all great, like especially Heidi Gardner and Ega Wodum came out. I don't think that really worked too well, but like it kept moving, it kept going, and the ad cutaways about the Pfizer visor, about the CVS card lady. You mentioned the card, the CVS receipt thing, just like constantly doing more bits and seeing what stuck. It felt like the end a bit too much, but also it hit a lot of good points though.
Well, I think anytime you can get Maxine in there, you're doing something right.
Couldn't think of her name. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I think it was different from what we've experienced in the political realm, and it felt more like a sketch, which we don't usually see at the cold open.
I enjoyed it though. It was fine by me.
Yeah, no, it was good. We then come in from the monologue, and to me, this was more of a flex of obviously Nick Jonas. He can sing. That's his career. It's his job. But then bringing in Keenan, Kate, Cecily, and Beck to sing as well. I thought this was really just a flex of quality writing and quality singing. It wasn't the best monologue, but to me, it was a indication of how much just live talent there is in this cast.
And I had forgotten that Nick Jonas was indeed in Les Mis, so it made perfect sense. I could not figure out why they kept going back to Les Mis songs, and it's because he was in the 25th anniversary concert version of Les Mis.
It's not an easy song, but it's a song that you can easily make up lyrics to because it is kind of slow and methodical, and so you can kind of stretch some things out. And it's a good, very basic, premise there.
Yeah.
So I was making a note of this now. It was 10:44 on the live broadcast at this point in time. Now, at this break, I believe when we got the commercial, they put up the placard for March 27th, our next episode with Maya Rudolph. So several weeks off now, which we kind of we're maybe expecting this, but maybe not 4 weeks off, but we'll probably get 3 in a row, probably March 27th. April 4th, and then April 11th. My dates might be off there. But
that's correct. Probably 10th, 3rd and 10th, I think.
Okay, thank you. And then a couple weeks off, and then probably a home stretch, 3 or 4 early to mid to late May is probably how the season's going to wrap up. So Maya Rudolph will be coming out as our host on March 27th.
And there really hasn't been any mention of the president or vice president since the inauguration. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her when she hosts.
If anything at all, I mean, obviously a month is a long time in a lot of ways, and so there hasn't been much newsworthy stuff. I mean, it's almost like we've kind of this running joke about how Biden's presidency has been somewhat boring in context. And so, but I gotta believe it'll be something in that regard.
I agree.
Especially too, we haven't seen Alex Moffat as Joe Biden ever since he was announced as the next Joe Biden.
Poor Alex Moffat.
Or well, yeah. Our first sketch tonight was a play off of the fitness craze, The Mirror.
Now is that a real thing?
Oh yeah, it's called different things, but basically you have this person in the mirror that is a fitness person, and they're kind of your personal coach. You stand in front of the mirror, and you watch their emotions, and you kind of mimic their emotions and see how your emotions compare to their emotions. A very popular fitness piece of equipment.
Well, I did not know that. Weird.
It is a real thing. Now they're not live; they're not tracked in this. So the premise of the sketch was people. Was it Mikey Day and Chris Red were consumers of this product, and they were getting ready to get their gains to get their workout going. My first note here was Nick Jonas was sleeveless, and he's a muscular fella. We heard no wooing from the crowd. So maybe there was a talking to from the crowd or something, but we heard no cat calls, which to me was a nice change of pace from last week.
I like to call that an upgrade.
There we go. From the get-go, I like this bit. I like the sketch. And then all of a sudden, Shannon Delgado comes out as a older woman trapped in the mirror somehow, as Kate McKinnon. Only Kate probably could do this bit this well.
Shannon Delgado, I'm sorry to tell you, is going to go down in my record books as a pretty amusing one-off, because that really, I don't know why. I don't know if it was just the way she acted it, but it really made me laugh. I enjoyed Shannon Delgado. The poor woman was stuck in the mirror. This is maybe a very foolish prediction, but I think we'll see her again in some capacity. Maybe not trapped in the mirror, but maybe guest appearance somewhere in some weird finagled sketch. That's maybe a bad prediction, but I think she resonated pretty well. Lot depends on if anybody called her husband.
A lot of traction for her on social media that night and that next morning for Shannon Delgado to make sure she was okay. This took some weird turns, but I thought it was a pretty well orchestrated sketch. And logistically, like this sketch, when they pulled away at the end, you saw how it was lined up. This was not an easy sketch to do physically with all the bodies moving around. Kudos to them for pulling it off so effectively.
Yeah, I noted that myself as they were pulling away at the end of the or towards the commercial. You kind of got to look at the stage, and it was pretty cool how it was laid out like that.
Yeah, so I liked it. Odd ending, but I mean, she eventually reversed the curse, and then Mikey Day's character ended up in the mirror to help out with.
That means if Shannon Delgado is out of the mirror, she's cool now. She can do anything she wants.
She's back in the world. Our next,
I do want to throw out there that just in case Heidi Gardner is watching, in case she's listening, tuning in, I think you're lovely.
I'm still holding her MVP stock. She did nothing to really pull ahead in that race, but she did nothing to fall behind either. She's kind of just treading water in a good way, and she's so versatile and she's so strong. She never really takes sketches off, and so I thought she's been good. Even the cold open, she wasn't great, but she just held her own very well.
I agree.
We next have a digital short, which was based loosely on your life.
Loosely? No, it's just life.
Well, you don't wait for your husband to leave before you watch the murder shows.
I love murder shows. I watched one about the Menendez brothers this weekend.
I thought this was simply outstanding. I don't share the affinity for murder shows that you do, but the lyrics of this were phenomenal. The whole premise was fantastic. The detail they gave to some of the specific fake shows and where these ladies watch them, it was great. It was great.
It was well played. It was well done, and because it hit so close to home, that I was a big fan.
The cult piece at the end was a bit of a stretch. I thought they kind of shoehorned in Nick Jonas, but sometimes you got to do that to appease the host.
Well, I do love myself some Wild Wild Country.
No, for sure. I'm not poo-pooing the cult show idea, but it felt like this thing was so good on its own. It didn't need that piece, and they did at the end for obvious reasons. But I thought this was enough. It was well done enough on its own. It didn't need that, but whatever. He's the host. You got to do it. We then had I think that was the sketch that got the most social media attraction the next day. Most people, our contemporaries, were posting saying, "Yep, this is me," kind of thing.
Yep. Oh, I sent it to a couple friends and said, "This is I know these people because they're us."
Oh yeah. We then had a sketch involving it was a Cinderella basically, and I wasn't quite sure where they were going with it at the onset, and then quickly learned that Prince Charming in Cinderella? What's the prince's name?
Yeah. Prince Charming is in Cinderella.
Prince Charming apparently bedded a mouse the night before, not one of the ladies.
No, and 80 was with child.
80 wasn't around too much this episode, but she has some good moments, and she plays this kind of bashful animal victim quite well.
Well, she's going to eat 12 of the kids.
Yeah. This was kind of an odd bit for me. It was kind of clumsy at times. I thought Keenan kind of was the glue here more so than 80. There was a line that Keenan gave off once of "I'm a footman in more ways than one." I thought that was a brilliantly clever line, and Keenan delivered it so well.
Keenan, the MVP is always Keenan's to lose in my world, and it's sketches like this where he really shines. There was another one later on that we'll bring up, but you put him in certain situations and he just absolutely just knocks it out of the park.
And that's obviously Cecily farting was why not? I mean,
go ahead.
Throw it in there for the heck of it. I didn't love this sketch, but it was also it had some laughs, it had some moments, so it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
We then go to
my favorite sketch of the night's coming up in a little bit, but go ahead.
Oh wow, wow! I'm eager to hear that. I know now. So we then had a second digital short. This was a bachelor party, and you kind of saw where they were going early on, and then I can't believe how hard they leaned into what they were getting at here.
I don't even know. Considering the fact that we're both sitting at our desks, I'm very concerned about even reviewing this sketch. But it was I couldn't believe how blatant they were with some of the jokes and some of the wording. I couldn't believe it.
The premise is not a new premise to comedy. A lot of comedians have leaned into this notion of how awkward it is or how weird it is that men do this. But they just did not hold back. And I put wow, just wow. They're not holding back in my show notes.
Well, that was the text message I received in the morning and said, wow, just wow. But I also, I thought the Kyle Mooney character of being the one friend from home who just doesn't kind of fit in. Every bachelor party I have ever been to in my entire life, there is one person who's just kind of there, and it's like, I don't know what to do with you.
Now, digital shorts are tough sometimes to read the crowd because the crowd is kind of like, you don't hear the crowd directly tuned in. There was a line about someone referring to I might turn gay, that you heard the crowd kind of groan in that moment. I'm like, you rarely hear the crowd on these digital shorts unless it's a really funny line. And that got some heat, and I was I noted that one.
There was some heat.
Yeah. I don't know, this sketch to me was just I can't believe how hard they went on in this one, how they leaned into that bit so bad and didn't try to be subtle at all.
And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, song was pretty catchy.
It was, and for our Patreon subscribers, we'll get into some more details with this. But to your point,
for you on Patreon,
we're not gonna get into details for our free customers. You got to pay for the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
We then had Nick Jonas as his first song. Now, I think I zoomed ahead on who introduced him.
It was Chris Redd and Kenan Thompson.
Okay, and then the second time around was his brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So we were kind of discussing that. Like, I think in normal times, you probably have an outside person do that both times, but limited guests available and all that during COVID time. So that was that. Now, before we talk about his performance here, let's have the Jewel Osco trivia question here.
Oh, did you get 15% off for getting your shot?
Only 10%, but I'm not as important as you are, so maybe that's why.
Okay.
So if you get a vaccine, you get 10% off. Mention Wild and Crazy Guys, and they will definitely not put you on the vaccine list.
No, you'll still get 10% off though.
This one is not a super in-depth one, but it's one that it may ring a bell here. So Nick Jonas, obviously not the first, won't be the last double duty person. And Nick Jonas, we can debate his performance today, but I'm pretty sure Nick Jonas will not be banned from SNL after this performance on this day. But who was the last person to pull double duty who got banned after their performance?
Oh my God.
Now, banned might be harsh. It's not confirmed they were banned, but they weren't invited back for some reason. This is going way back. This is very specific, so I apologize if it's a bit too.
Well, Sinead O'Connor didn't host.
No, she did not.
But she's banned.
Yeah.
Which can you give me a year?
1978.
Oh my goodness. 1978.
I'm sorry, this is probably a little too specific here. Now I have a backup question in case you want to know a different question.
Go ahead and we'll keep on going, and I will continue thinking about this.
Okay. So Nick Jonas' performance of the song called Spaceman, all I could think about was the fact that the Killers had a song named Spaceman that I really like, and the doctor on 30 Rock was Dr. Spaceman. Because I did not like sitting through the song. I thought I didn't like the song at all. If I don't like the musical guest, I kind of just shrug and say, okay, I just didn't enjoy this at all.
Dr. Spaceman.
I was not happy about this song. I didn't enjoy the performance. I'm out.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
When I think of it, I also think of Dr. Spaceman from 30 Rock. Obviously, his real name Dr. Spaceman, but don't tell Tracy.
I'm out. I'm not a Nick Jonas fan. There it is.
He also pronounced diabetes as diabetes.
Then moving on to weekend updates. I thought there were some great jokes, great deliveries on this one. All in all, a pretty solid update for the joke's sake. There was a joke about the island of Lesbos that Colin Jost told was just kiss.
Yep.
I'll tell it on our Patreon, but not on our free.
No, not here. No. Mm-mm.
We had LeVar Ball,
which I know you would love. You're a big LeVar Ball fan.
I'm not. I hate LeVar Ball.
Well, I'm sorry. You're Keenan as LeVar Ball fan.
I love Keenan's over-the-top impersonation. This one seems to give Keenan the hardest time keeping it straight for some reason. He always struggles keeping LeVar Ball straight, and I love it.
Well, he had a shoe with caramel inside. He was very happy about it.
Yeah. It was a good interaction. And Keenan struggling is always fun to me. Cecily came out as Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Cecily was great here.
Would it be Cher?
It was not Cher. It's a man. It's a man.
Okay. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. She sat on her gun.
I thought Cecily did a good job with her. I mean, it's a thing of it. The parody can't be any more ridiculous than the actual person. So it's a hard thing to pull off, but I thought Cecily was great.
Yeah.
Which is per usual. That was it and was there any more guests up? No, that was it. It was Green. We then come back with a sketch at a carnival or a amusement park or theme park,
Can I
in
also
which
just real quickly back on Weekend Update? I want to throw this out here. It's one of
yeah,
the only times I've noticed this. I don't know if the camera work was a little off, but when Weekend Update started, as they zoomed in, they were able to the camera was kind of above the backdrop a little bit, and
yeah,
I did not realize that Weekend Update was set center stage prior to this past Saturday. I did not know that.
they just it's moved a little bit. I don't think I did either, but I'm not surprised. It really is a very small space. That they make it seem much bigger. It's a pretty small space though.
But it was an interesting factoid because I thought it had like its own little area, but it is set up right in the middle of that where the monologue takes place.
Mm-hmm. So the carnival bit was there was 5 youngsters, and I put the youngster. This is mostly the newer cast members. You didn't have any of the kind of the old guard here, and there were 5 of them, and they're going on to a ride that had 2 people per ride, and there was 2 couples or 2 girls, 2 guys, and then a 5th guy as a 5th wheel. I thought the sketch was a little bit too simplistic. It didn't really do a whole lot for me.
Well, this was it for me. I just loved every second of it. I just absolutely loved it for a few reasons. Number one, there actually is a ride at Disneyland called the Matterhorn, and you have to sit on the Matterhorn bobsleds just as they're showing in this sketch, which, depending on who you're with, can make for an awkward seating conversation.
Mm.
Number two, growing up in amusement parks, my parents were clear that they did not want me winning any large stuffed animals because then I'd have to carry it around with me for the rest of the day, and it would be a real pain. Thirdly, I don't know why, but the fact that they just kept calling him the guy from Soul, I just really, this was the perfect example of just a really stupid, classic kind of Saturday Night Live sketch. This is up there with the intelligence level of like, this is up there with Brock Toon. That's how much they make.
Oh, come on now.
No, I'm not saying it's as funny. I'm not saying it's
Sacred
as funny.
space.
It's as sensical. It
Got weird at the end, and when they had him sit in the lap, and it put us in fine places. But I thought there was no payoff at the end. It was just like the payoff was the whole thing was kind of predictable. So,
well, Kyle Mooney had to sit in the guy from Soul's lap.
well, it seemed like the logical conclusion because he did something with the 5th wheel.
God, that was great. I just loved it.
Okay, we agree, disagree there. We then have Dionne Warwick as our the next, bringing her back a little bit, and you didn't have quite the same like wow factor from her first time around. First, she brought out The Weeknd. Then she brought out
vertigo.
Sorry,
he gave her vertigo.
Yes, and then Nick Jonas came out and. I forgot what his bit was, but it was very short and very. Oh, I know what it was. I'm not going to say that.
She asked him to expose himself, which
that's correct. And then I heard some birds squeaking. I thought there's something going wrong or off.
Yeah,
and then and then Ender Dismukes has this animal climbing all over him, this parakeet, who was only there for Dionne Warwick to sing to.
Yep.
This was just I put this is the great kind of stupid crazy.
It almost Brian Fellows like.
Yes, and then bringing out Machine Gun Kelly, and then she got scared of him.
Scared of Machine Gun Kelly.
I don't know. I didn't quite know where to feel about this sketch. I hope they don't do it too much because it seems like they recycle a lot of the same concepts as last time.
I didn't like it as much as I did the last time, but then I was scrolling through Twitter earlier today, and the real honest to goodness Dionne Warwick, her tweet today, all it said was, "I am live tweeting from my living room." So I have a newfound appreciation for the wonders of Dionne Warwick.
She's looking for a new show to watch on Netflix, I believe.
Yeah.
Or
she was upset that nobody was giving her any animated choices because she can also be fun and whimsical.
There you go.
You're not following Dionne Warwick on Twitter. You're doing Twitter wrong.
I'm doing Twitter wrong then. We then have Nick Jonas for his second performance. I believe I fast forwarded through this one. I know that's kind of gauche, but I'll admit it. I did that.
I fast forwarded through both. So don't.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
We then come out for our 11:55 sketch, which I thought was dumb by most standards. I get the idea. Flirting is awkward coming out of COVID after a year, but this was just not. It didn't hit at all for me.
We've seen Kate in these spots before, in these kind of 11:55 bar sketches, and usually she's playing a much more ridiculous character. This one she played almost too straight, like almost too sensical. And yeah, I would have rather they had gone all the way dumb like they used to, because this was I couldn't figure out, where are you going with this? Are you trying to be completely stupid, or are you trying to be somewhat intelligent humor? Like requesting "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" from the piano player, like it didn't do it for me.
No, yeah, it was an odd fit, and I get the idea, I get the premise, I'm fine with that, but it didn't. Yeah, it wasn't there. So we then move away to our closing scene, and the guy from Soul was there.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was there, and it made me laugh real hard. Real hard.
It was one of the thinner closing credits we've had, because there was really no band. I don't believe that was with on the stage at the end. Cecily still had her Trust Science shirt, yeah. And then one of the gentlemen had the bachelor party T-shirt on still at the closing credits. I thought that was kind of funny.
The guy from Soul. I mean, that was it for me. I haven't even seen the movie, but that's all I needed.
Yeah, I mean, bring it back. Why not? Like, he was kind of the star of that sketch, so might as well bring him back there. I didn't notice a whole lot else going on.
No,
that was really about it.
No notes on the bows. I didn't have anything for the credits.
No, just the usual stuff. And hopefully these folks can go home a little bit and get some rest, and hope maybe there's some filming of shows to go on and stuff. But then a month off, and we come back on March 27th for probably the second to last stretch of shows before the season comes to an end. But give these nice folks a few weeks off and let them rest, recover, and come back strong towards the end.
Definitely. And I'm still trying to come up with a good guess for your trivia question, and I don't think I can do it.
Frank Zappa.
Wow.
Frank Zappa.
Frank Zappa was banned from Saturday Night Live.
Apparently during the show, he was like basically announcing that he was reading off the cue cards while he was reading off the cue cards.
That's not
and stuff like that, and just a lot of various things. Now, do you want to hear the backup question, or we save it for a different time?
No, let's go. Yeah, no, let's go the backup question, because we've got a month off now.
Who's pulled double duty the most times with 4?
Paul Simon.
There you go. All right, so there we go. It makes you feel better. You can end on that positive note there.
Yeah, Paul Simon's been around a lot, but there it is.
He's a legend. I mean, he's a big, almost as part of the show as Lauren was in the early years. So Paul Simon's an obvious pick there, but well done.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we will
and then a high note.
Go ahead.
And then a high note. No, you get that question right. And then a high note.
Well, we will see you all in 1 month's time for the return of season 48. Joseph, anything else?
No, we have some time off. Maybe we'll throw in some premium content for our Patreon subscribers in this month-long drought.
We've already advertised some of it.
True.
Well, say good night, Joseph.
Good night, Joseph.